not a licensed physician and I'm not giving medical advice, um, but it seems like there's some hype on the internet right now about eating onions. When I was younger, so like 10 years ago in high school, when I was 15 years old, I got really into garlic because I read that it can increase luteinizing hormone, and I'll get to the rest later, but the bottom line is I started making my own custom 5-hour energy drinks. Well, they didn't have 5-hour energy drink in them. Well, I think, yeah, sometimes I left like half of it in there, and I put as much garlic powder as I could, and that didn't last very long at school. I remember one day I opened it up and took my shot, and the teacher, I was at the back of the class, and the teacher at the front of the class goes, "Who has garlic?" I go, "Me." She's like, "Why do you have so much garlic?" I said, because it raises luteinizing hormone, or because it makes your testicles work better. I don't remember what I said exactly, but she said, like, "Well, please don't do that in class because it reeks." And I remember my mom and probably my dad and sister, they told me how much it smelled. Now, maybe I just don't notice it now, but I just eat normal garlic, not powdered garlic, and I don't notice any smell. I'll ask my wife when she comes again, but I don't think she notices any smell. I mean, probably a little something. Uh, Maybe people don't want to tell me, but I don't smell, like, maybe my nose is screwed up. I don't smell those as much, but let's get to the science behind it. So, I can't remember for sure if it's allicin that does it, or another molecule. Not really important, you can always Google that, which molecule exactly it is that has these effects. I'm going off 10-year-old memory. But the bottom line is that while it does show increase in luteinizing hormone, testosterone levels only go up. I say it like that because they didn't actually go up, but they stayed up in stressful situations. That's the best way to put it. When the organism, the body, I like the word organism because body kind of separates body from brain or mind, but when the organism is in very stressful situations that normally lower testosterone just because the whole body has a lot of, like when I say stress, I don't just mean anxiety, that kind of stress. I mean physical exhaustion, something toxic is in you that it has to deal with. Basically, your body has to deal with something other than just making testosterone. And the burden from that something other or from those other things, because it can be many, that's when you're really going to get bogged down, is when you're hit with many things all at once. Your body might not be focusing so much on your testicles. You might think, but doesn't it want to make your testicles work better to deal with those things? Maybe sometimes it does want that, and it can't. Maybe sometimes it does want that, and it can. But other times it's not important for dealing with the other tasks at hand. Like, I have been almost dead, and when I went through full body organ failure, my body decided, it's more important to preserve the brain than the testicles. You don't measure someone's testicular function when they're dying and go, "Well, why aren't their testicles working? Isn't it important for them to have testosterone right now?" It's like, yeah, testosterone's good, but there's a lot of other stuff that's even more important right now, and sometimes actually you do want less testosterone. For example, infections. Testosterone seems to redirect the immune system to the outer surfaces of the body. Same thing with adrenaline and other catecholamines. They seem to favor a short-term survival something. Um, why do I say that? Well, if you think about it, if you are a long time ago and you're in a forest, you're running through the forest, you're tearing up your leg on branches or rocks or whatever, there's a saber-toothed tiger chasing you, or a bear, or a giant lizard or something, and you're like tearing yourself, like running through the the trees, like tearing your arms open and getting cuts all over the place. You want your immune system to focus on all that. It doesn't matter so much if you got a little bit of food poisoning also, or you got a little bit of the flu, if it even existed back then. You got to deal with those things first, or else they're going to get infected, and you're going to end up septic and dead pretty soon. So that's why I say that. It seems like a logical evolutionary thing. But yes, it has been shown that testosterone, along with other things like catecholamines, redirect immune cells to like your skin and outer tissues rather than inner organs. So if you had an internal infection, like say you are, I don't know where there might be exceptions. I'm not an expert on testosterone and individual infections, but if you had some sort of systemic infection, let's say even the one that went around, it might be better not to have really high testosterone levels because it might be signaling your immune cells to go somewhere they're not needed. And it could allow that infection that is systemic to progress worse than it would if you had a little bit lower testosterone levels. Who knows, maybe even higher estrogen levels. Estrogen also mediates where your immune cells go. But that wasn't the point of this video. The point of this video is that you may not see a big increase in your testosterone from eating garlic and onions. Now you might, because maybe your organism is under stress. Maybe it's under stress that you realize. Maybe it's under stress that you don't realize. It's kind of an interesting way you might find out that you're putting your organism under too much stress is if you take this stuff, do your blood work, and your testosterone shoots up a lot. You might want to go, maybe I need to change my lifestyle because my lifestyle was pushing my testosterone down. Because in healthy, non-stressed individuals, at least the studies I read, did not show much of a rise in testosterone from garlic or onions. However, once again, when the organism was under a lot of stress, which lowered the testosterone, when consuming the garlic, it would stay at normal levels. I don't remember the effect on testicular health. I would assume that if the Serdioli cells are working good to make testosterone, that I wouldn't assume, but I would think that perhaps it's also having some antioxidant properties down there. We do know that it increases blood flow and has an antioxidant effect for the blood vessels. So maybe that's playing a role. And we do know that antioxidants do affect your fertility. I actually know a guy who was not able to get his wife pregnant, a young guy, and I can't remember if he took N-acetylcysteine or glutathione, but he took one or the other after trying for several months, and he got his wife pregnant. And medical studies have shown this also, that antioxidants improve fertility. So yeah, we don't know what all exactly is going on. Are you improving your fertility? Or are you just maintaining your testosterone in stressful situations when your organism is under a lot of stress? We don't know exactly, but we do know that we do know the testosterone effects, that it keeps your testosterone at normal levels when they would otherwise decrease. Even if I have perfect health and my body's not under a lot of stress, which is unlikely, considering that I'm in medical school and I like to bodybuild and I like to learn boxing and wrestling and jog and drink. That's a stressor too sometimes. Considering all that, I think that my body's going to be under a good amount of stress for the foreseeable future, and it's a good idea for me to consume lots of garlic. I like garlic, so I want to consume it anyways. And I like onions. They're my favorite vegetables. I've always liked these vegetables more than other vegetables. Maybe my organism just knew those are the ones you need. I like tomatoes too, especially if they're not from the grocery store, if they're from somebody's garden or farm or something. I got lots of limes. Do you know why I have so many limes? And so many oranges? It's not because I need them down here. If you know why I have so many limes and oranges, leave a comment. It's not that hard to figure out. Luckily, the grocery store has an easier alternative to buying the oranges like that. A very fresh alternative. Fresh on the spot. I don't want to say too much or else it might give away why I get the oranges and the limes. I think we can leave it there. Hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It costs you nothing, but it can help me out someday. Check out my other videos. You might like them as well and benefit from them as well. Oh, also, if you want an easy way to consume garlic, some people say, like, oh, you want to just swallow the lobes whole, and I'm not a big fan of that. Sometimes when I've done that, you end up with burning in your stomach as it's dissolving. You would think that if you chew it up, it's going to burn even more because you're releasing all the stuff at once. But sometimes I found the opposite to be true. That's just me. Plus, I like the taste of garlic. So what I like to do is I chop it up, not too thin. At first I did it really thin because I hadn't had garlic in a while. Well, at least I hadn't had raw garlic in a while in large quantities. But now I make pretty thick slices. And I'll put it on a piece of bread, and then I'll put slices of like pepperoni, salami. We call it kielbasa here. I buy the Italian one because I'm Italian, and I find that the Italian one is the best. Not a surprise. But yeah, you get your bread, you put your thick garlic slices, and you put your kielbasa on top of it. I used to just put the garlic slices everywhere, put the kielbasa everywhere, but now I tend to just put thick garlic slice, piece of kielbasa, thick garlic slice, piece of kielbasa. And I was even thinking I could make this even more advanced by getting like little pieces of bread or crackers. Or I don't want crackers, but if they made like little round pieces of bread, it would be perfect. Or you can just cut little pieces of bread. They'll be squares probably. Not the most important thing in the world that you got a square piece of bread with a circular piece of kielbasa with a random piece of garlic, but you can stack them up all like perfect. That way you don't get, like, if you just have the garlic all over here and the kielbasa all over here, you take a bite, it can like move some of it, and then you get more garlic in one piece, less in another. I like to have a good ratio in every bite. Really load it up, like, especially if you do it that way, you can put a real thick, big piece of garlic with like the perfect amount of kielbasa on top of it. Take a bite, try to get it all squeezed down in your first bite, because you don't want to like take your bite, the garlic comes out, now you're chewing on bread with kielbasa on this side and garlic on that side. Tastes better when you chew it all in the same area. And if you need an easy way to consume your onion, what I like to do is I get the onion and I chop it up. Not with my hands because they're not sharp enough. And I get a tomato and I chop it up. And I put that into a pan. And I scramble some eggs. And I put that into the pan too. Not like that because I don't like to make a mess. And then you cook them. Yeah, big surprise. You thought I was going to say something else, but you cook them and then you eat them. I think it tastes good. I do it because I like the taste. And it just happens to also be a good way to consume onion and a good way to consume tomato. And if you know why I have so many limes and oranges, don't forget about that comment.